We got a good one today. I have something different today. Finally.
Yeah.
It feels like every week we have these guys from KW coming on, right? So we're gonna move them out this week, and I appreciate all of them coming on. But we have somebody different, somebody who's been in the business at a time that he started in the business in the pandemic, which he just told me, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Connery Koski, right? Century 21 Advantage Gold.
Yep.
Southampton. Okay, guys. So I know we're in South Philly here, and probably the South Philly guys are getting mad at me because they're not on the show right now. Maybe you will be, but
I've got some South Philly brothers here, though.
Right. So I'm sure you do. But
Yeah.
I just found out that Connery is the broker of Southampton. Look how young he is. So I don't know what the hell's going on over there, but they made him the broker, which is great.
Yeah.
But give us your background. Thanks for coming on and roll away.
Well, it's great to meet you finally,
right.
after being connected for so many years. And so I really got into real estate because I went through the home buying process in 2019 myself, and my wife and I, we just went through the gauntlet. It seemed like, right? We probably made every mistake you can make as a first-time home buyer. The first thing we did was we called Rocket Mortgage.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And they
we don't. It's not going well at all as we begin here. But go ahead.
But it's good to learn the wrong way.
Sure,
right?
That is the wrong way.
Exactly.
Yep.
So we call them, and they assign us an agent.
Yeah.
And the agent was in York, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And we were looking at buying in Bensalem.
Oh boy.
In the surrounding area.
Right. So that's a little bit of a ride there.
Right.
Yeah.
So the agent's coming down from York, showing us all these places, and we land a spot. And, we're going through it, and the appraisal comes in, and it's short, right? It's $15,000 short, and we've got a pretty big deposit on. And at the time, we were doing an FHA mortgage.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
You have the appraisal contingency baked
Sure,
into it.
it's got to appraise.
Right.
That's it.
And, we're leaning on our agent to tell us, all right, how do we get out of this,
Right.
or how do we negotiate this? And he didn't want to negotiate anything, right? So we wind up terminating the deal, and the listing agent holds our money hostage, right? Our deposit.
Of course.
She thinks she has the right, and that's fair. And our agent at the time was not fighting for us to get the deposit back, right? So we wind up
We see a lot of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible.
for whatever reason.
You hire these people to work for you, and then they don't do the job.
Right. So we're in this predicament. First time home buyers. We've got $7,500 on the line, being held hostage. And fortunately, my mother-in-law works for a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
So she's got quick access to lawyers. So she goes down the hall, tells one of the lawyers, hey, we need to get this deposit. Can you help us out? So he writes a letter, sends it to the listing agent. The listing agent meets me in like a giant parking lot and gives us over the deposit, right?
Wow.
She was so pissed off, but it worked.
Right.
All right.
Whenever you get a lawyer involved,
I know.
it's all over.
A little scare tactic.
Right. That's it. You get them involved, and things move.
So we wind up we get out of that, right? And we fired that agent because we just felt like it was
Well, they
poor
didn't do
representation.
anything. Right.
Right. He wasn't on our side. And the lawyer actually advised us to get someone else for whatever reason. So we get another agent. And this time, this agent, he, gets us under contract for a house, but he wasn't really there with us during the process. Didn't show up to settlement. And we felt like
The agent didn't show up to settlement.
yeah,
It's very odd.
I know. We wound up meeting with the broker at the settlement table.
Huh.
So we kind of felt like, man, that just was a terrible experience.
2 in a row.
2 in a row, right? 2 agents in a row, just really bad, dropping the ball, not there. So I felt like at that time, I was like, man, I was going through my real estate classes already, but I felt even more compelled, like I got to get in here and really give people the experience that they need and be there for them, be an advocate, be in their corner. So that's really what got me fired up to really pursue real estate and become an agent.
Right. I mean, it takes a couple bad experiences.
Right.
That's the unfortunate part, that there's more of that probably going on every day.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately, because
The quality of is not there.
yeah, I mean, there's 60,000 licensees in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
right?
60,000.
60,000.
Wow.
That's a lot of agents.
That is a lot of agents.
Right. And if we look at the stats, 70% of them didn't do any business, right?
Not one deal.
Not one deal.
In last year or just
Last year.
last year?
If we look at a national stat,
Okay.
right? So there's a lot of
70% of 60,000 agents in this state didn't do any business.
70% of agents across the map,
the whole country,
the nation, have not done one piece of business last year.
Oh
right.
my God.
So that's like a glaring stat.
So that's a lot.
And it's because the barrier to entry is so low for
Right.
agents to get in. Right. Yeah. And maybe they should do something about that. But so anyways, I got into the business, and my uncle, he's a broker down in South Florida, commercial broker.
Right.
And we were talking one time, and I told him, hey, look, I love what you do. I'd love to be a broker myself. So as soon as I got my license, I was on that trajectory and on that path to get my broker's license. And I took over the office in April of 23. And it's cool because it seems like now we're starting to turn the corner.
Right.
It takes years to build something good. You know?
Got that right.
And that's what I've learned. So
that's a tough lesson to learn.
Yeah.
You got to start from the bottom, right? You have to start from the bottom. You don't start from the top and work your way down. You start from the bottom, you work your way up.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, so especially guys at your age that a lot of them don't want to work, right? Yeah. Or they want to just start with, you know, how do I make $1 million this year? And it's my first year.
Right.
You know, you're not going to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so you're in Southampton, so that's a different market, right? But not too different. What are you seeing over there? Are you seeing a lot of people that are coming from, are they going from New York over to there too, or from out of state into that area? Or you're seeing more of just people moving around and staying in the neighborhood? Yeah.
So it seems like the Southampton area and maybe, you know, the surrounding area down into like Feasterville, even up into like Warminster. You have a lot of Eastern European influence. You're seeing a lot of Uzbekistan, Russian, Ukrainian, all those cultures kind of dominating the marketplace.
Okay.
You know, the last few houses I've sold in that area, they've sold all cash to those Eastern European influence buyers. Yeah, they've got money.
Right.
And it's impressive.
They all got money, man.
Yeah.
Right? Why don't the Americans would have no money, right?
Exactly.
The foreigners, they got all the money.
They got all the money. Yeah.
Yes.
They're doing something right.
Where do they get the cash?
Yeah.
Right.
So that's a hot market.
Yep. I believe it. Well, listen, that cuts me out, right? I don't like cash. I always say that every show. I don't like cash.
Yeah.
Cash is, everybody says cash is king. It's not king to me.
Yeah, right.
All right. Because you need a mortgage.
Exactly.
Go get a mortgage. Forget about cash.
Yeah.
All right. Don't use your money. But unfortunately, they buy cash anyway.
What are your thoughts on the recent changes with like FHA being a?
So that's a good question. That dropped this week, right?
Yeah.
So FHA, you know, they if you don't know, got rid of doing grants and things like that to minorities.
Yeah.
They actually almost got rid of the grant program, period, going FHA.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of first-time buyers that are getting in the market, they're asking for grants. You know, they're going to the state to get a certain grants that they can use towards their down payment and closing costs.
Yep.
And the government came in and said that, you know, if you're a minority, we're no longer going to lend on the FHA program, or if you're a non-resident or non-permanent citizen, you cannot get an FHA mortgage, which cuts out a big part of the industry.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
It's horrible. Yeah.
I think, you know, you're discriminating, you know, there to somewhat.
Right.
You're cutting out a piece of the market.
Yeah.
Right. Which makes it harder for us.
Yep.
Because we were doing deals in that side too.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of it. I guess why he's trying to do that, or why they're trying to do that, but I'm not sure it helps us.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Because it hurts our business.
Well, you want people just to have as much access as possible.
Right.
You know, and that's what you're limiting now.
You are.
Yeah.
You are. So it's a shame. And I think that things are going to, there's a lot of laws that are passing right now that I think they're going to wind up nixing down the road and bringing it back.
Possibly.
You know? I wouldn't say anything's permanent right now. The one question I keep getting is, why are the interest rates not lower?
Right.
Right. He, you know, this person got into office in January. Shouldn't the rates be 3% right now?
Yeah. Right. Keep dreaming.
Which I'm sure you hear too, from people that are there. Why? What happened? I thought that they were supposed to plummet. I thought that we were supposed to be, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, the rates are slowly coming down. You know, we've seen in the mid sixes, we saw low sixes over the last few weeks. It seems that sixes is not a horrible rate. You know, it's still a decent rate.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
you know,
and I've seen some buy downs too. Recently,
you do a buy down,
cool.
right?
Yeah.
You get the 2-year buy down where the rate could be in the 4s and then in the 5s in the second year and the 6s. And that's not bad at all either.
How about for you? Are you seeing a decline in mortgage applications?
You know, right now I'm seeing waves of like, it'll get really busy, it feels like, and then it dies. There's no
Right.
there's no consistency
Yeah.
in the market right now.
I think the like just looking at the numbers myself, it looks like the suburbs, like I focus on inventory accumulation and that number.
Which
and,
I'm sure you guys study, right? The
well, I just
inventory.
look at it and I
Yeah.
like to bring it into presentations with me with clients,
Mhm.
just so I can educate them a little bit on what's
Sure.
going on in the
Yeah.
market. And it looks like right now we're getting back to a level of 2019
of inventory.
of inventory, the inventory accumulation number, which basically is just a measure of supply and demand.
Yeah.
If we have this amount of listings, it will take this long to sell all of those listings with this current demand.
Okay.
All right. So right now we're at over 2 months of inventory supply.
So it's plenty.
When you're below 5, you're in a seller's market.
Okay.
When you're 5 to 6, you're in a neutral market. When you're above 6, you're in a buyer's market. Right.
Okay.
So in Philly, we're at that 6 mark.
Philly's tough.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm not allowed to
Like
say
the-
that
the
on the show because
pendulum
they
has totally
trash me every
swung.
time I say Philly's tough. But
Yeah.
right? They
It's
come in-
definitely different.
It's different.
Yeah.
Right, guys? I mean, I'm not lying here. Look what he just said.
Yeah.
Right? It came out of his mouth too. It comes out of a lot of the agents' mouth that come on the show
Yeah.
that are actual Philly realtors.
Mhm.
It's a tough market here. There's this 6-month inventory
Right.
that's sitting here versus 2 months in the suburbs.
Yeah.
So that's big.
That's a huge difference. And it's important if you're going to be, representing someone in either market that you really understand what type of market you're in so that you can put your best foot forward on an offer that you're writing for, a homeowner or a buyer, future homeowner.
So Connery does a ton of social media, right? This is
Yeah.
what brought him on this show. All right. So
I try.
I mean, the guy turns heads when he does his social media. I know if you haven't seen his social media, you check it out. His Instagram is excellent. He posts, he sticks to it, but he doesn't just post real estate fluff, right? It's real time stuff on the street, right?
Yeah.
There's certain videos that jumped out at me that I told him before the show that, you got to watch it. I can't even say like it's stuff that he actually goes through day to day,
Right.
right? On what goes on. And one of them was him going into I guess it was a listing that you were looking to take over. And he was approached by someone in the house while he was, I guess, looking at the listing.
Yeah.
And this person actually pulled a gun on him. So,
Yeah.
right?
So when I first started, which I've only been in the game for 5 years.
Right. So this guy's going in 5 years, right? He's a newbie.
I'm a newbie.
Right.
So,
And what neighborhood was it in?
this is Broad and Lehigh.
Broad and Lehigh.
Yeah.
He goes into this house.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had, when I first started,
Guys like me and you shouldn't be at Broad and Lehigh. All right.
well, listen, when I first started,
we don't belong there.
I know.
No,
I
I'm
agree.
joking.
Yeah. I was taking any client, right? Any lead that came in,
Right.
I was taking it and I was just speed
That's
to
what
lead,
happens.
speed to lead.
You just
go
you
meet him.
take
Go
it.
meet him.
Right.
Right.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I
You
get
just
it.
take anything. So
Right.
I had worked with this client before. I sold a house for him. And then he was doing another project. So he wanted me to go down and take a look at it. So I go down there. It's on, a summer day on the weekend. So I'm kind of going out of my way to get down there. I pull up to the house and I already felt like a little uneasy because it's just a rough area.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah,
is.
right.
And I had never been on one of those side streets down there.
Right.
And when you're going down and then there's shell,
And then house.
house.
Right.
It's like, something.
Yeah. There's a problem.
Yeah,
Right.
there's a problem.
Right.
So I park up, I go in, and I shut the door, and I think I locked the door, right? I'm pretty certain I locked the door. And within like 5 seconds, this guy comes in.
So you didn't lock it.
Either he had a key or he picked it.
Okay. So it was
Right.
one or the other.
It's one or the other.
So you
And he
locked it. So you-
I did lock it, yeah.
Okay.
And he definitely probably had access to the lockbox since it was
Sure.
there.
Right.
And that's really what puts a house on target.
Right.
They see a lockbox, so it's vacant. They just
Sure.
renovated it. Oh, this is a good one to go in. And
They break in.
They break in, yeah.
Right.
So I go in there. This guy walks in, and I turn to him like, "How can I help you?" And he's like, "How can I help you? What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I'm here to price the house out for my client, take photos and all that." And he's like, "Well, I left something upstairs." I'm like, "All right, you can go upstairs and get your things, and then just leave when you're done."
Right.
So he goes up the stairs and he's standing at the top of the steps, like right in the hallway, the landing area. And I kind of reach behind me and I shut the door, and he sees me shut the door, and he turns around and he's like, why are you shutting the door? I'm like, well, because I don't want anyone else coming in
Sure.
here, and you left it wide open.
Right.
And he's like, I don't like you shutting the fucking door. Don't be doing that shit. And he's walking down the steps as he's saying this, and he pulls up his hoodie and he grabs his gun, right? And he goes to pull it out. And I reach behind me, open up the door, and I just sprint out.
You ran.
I ran. Yeah. So I'm running down. I'm running down Lehigh.
I think I would have ran. I can run too, right?
Yeah.
I'm a runner. And I would be out the door.
Yeah.
All right. You would just see smoke gone.
And it's the summertime. I almost run out of my sandals. You know, that's how fast I was out of there. But man, what a crazy moment.
So you ran. It's not like he ran after you. Like you were just gone.
He kind of chased me up the street a little bit, and I'm running down Lehigh, and I'm turning my head, just looking over my shoulder, seeing where he's at. And I could see him. He's kind of like chasing me a little bit. Then I get down to Broad.
You lost him.
And I kind of lost him. Yeah.
Right.
But what a crazy moment, man.
I mean, this is the stuff that realtors, they don't tell you.
Yeah. Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes stuff, that they go through, that they go into these houses and, it's a different job. I mean, a mortgage guy, we just sit behind a computer and, we run numbers all day and send out a pre-approval letter and, all that stuff, right?
Right. Yeah.
These guys are on the front line, in these houses, meeting these people.
Yeah.
And God only knows where you're going to walk into.
Right. So now moving forward, if you're in a bad neighborhood, probably bring some backup with you.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to go to that neighborhood again, right? I mean,
I can pick and choose now.
Unless it was like $1 million listing, but you're not going to get $1 million listing over there.
Not
right?
there. Right. Yeah. It's great.
That's good. But he did another video too that we talked about AI and is AI going to take over? AI is a big thing in the mortgage industry and real estate industry right now.
Right.
Is it going to take over by 2030 or 2040? Are we not going to have a job? All of us, our computer's going to be able to do everything. Where they're going to be able to do, all our job, right? So, Are you worried about that, or should we be worried about that, or what do you think?
I think it's definitely going to help us become more efficient, which is great, right? Because then we can scale in different ways that maybe we're not thinking of right now. But as far as it replacing humans, I don't think so, because there's like the biggest thing with selling real estate, and it took me a little bit to figure this out, but I used to think it was just selling floors, doors, and windows and roofs, right?
Right.
And it's not. It's about selling everything else that comes with that house, right? It's about the people. It's about the connection. And you're just never going to replace that connection, that emotion that you can read, that body language like this, right?
Sure.
You're never going to be able to replace that with a human or with a robot,
Right.
You always need that human involved. And that's where I stand right now. But who knows?
Well, what worries me is that you're right. They always need the human touch.
Yeah.
Doing real estate and mortgages. But will we be scaled down so much that they won't pay us anywhere near what we deserve as professionals because they figured that the computer still can do 75 to 80% of our job? And yeah, Alex, you're still involved with the 20% because you can talk to the person, but you're no longer anywhere near what you were.
Right.
I mean, that could happen.
Yeah. And if that happens, maybe you become so efficient that you're doing more.
Right. You got to step it up.
To justify that kind of a cut. You have more volume.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe you're still earning the same or more.
Yeah. You got to step it up.
Yeah.
Right. And show your value.
Yeah. It's all about adapting.
Well, you got to adapt.
You'll always be okay. And humans are the best at adapting.
Yeah. So you're a motivator too, man. Like you, right? I mean, you're motivating people left and right.
Try to. I just try to be positive. And being a manager, you got to keep people like engaged.
Well, let's talk about that, right? Because you manage, I'm sure, what are you, 23 agents you said in the office now, right? So that's he manages all 23 agents. I'm sure he mentors them and motivates them, right?
Yeah,
so what's going on the street here with these new agents getting in? Is it really hard to mentor them and motivate them right now with this kind of market that we're in? Or are you seeing some sharpshooters that are coming out hungry and they don't care and they're willing to do the work?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing missing right now is support, right? I recruit agents. I meet with agents from different brokerages, and it seems like it's the same message from these agents that they just don't have the support, right? And like I was talking to an agent driving down here. She's writing up a deal today and she wanted some assistance on it, some help. We brainstormed a little bit, but that's at 7:30 on a Sunday morning.
Right.
Right. So that type of support doesn't really exist at a lot of places. And hearing that from agents, I think if you have someone, and it takes a while for agents to even figure out that maybe that's the missing link in my business. And by that time, it's too late, right? They're already flushed out with the rest of the 80%.
Right.
So I think it's really important for agents to lean on someone who's in the business, who's still doing deals, who can come from a perspective of boots on the ground, right? And that's what I don't teach from a handbook. I teach from what I'm doing day to day. Yeah.
Right.
So I think if you really want to set yourself up for success as a new agent, you need to get into a place where you can have that one-on-one mentorship with a good manager, broker, leader. And that's really going to help you out.
It's tough to find that type of support if you're in these big box companies.
That's the problem. Yeah. Because their business model's different.
Sure.
They just want, they might make money based on fees. We make money based on agent success. It's much different. We don't have monthly fees and stuff. So I'm not here just to build a roster. I want to actually build careers for agents and help them and see them succeed. That's where I get fired up.
Are agents jumping around right now, you think, or is everybody just scared and staying put until we see what goes on with this market?
I mean, I'm seeing some moves, definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
So people are moving around.
Yep.
Trying to find I guess the next best thing, right? They're trying as a grass greener. I don't know. I mean, in the market.
And I'm not saying we're the best fit for everyone. I'll be the first to tell you.
Right. You probably are picky and choosy on who you take, right? I mean,
it's important for you to want to work with me, but it's also important for us to have a good relationship,
So we're seeing bidding wars still, though. All right. So the bidding wars are still, I'm seeing, I think that's the toughest part on the mortgage side right now. We're doing a lot of pre-approvals. So there are people doing pre-approvals that it makes you feel good because you're doing an application and you get all excited and you say, I got 5 pre-approvals today and whatever, but they're not going under contract.
Right.
Yeah. Where's the contracts at? Right. Like I'm speaking to everybody who's listening to this right. Where are the contracts?
Right.
We're not getting them like we should. We're in the end of March here. Okay. When I go back, even before the pandemic and 16 and 15, we were getting contracts at this time of the year like crazy. March, April, May, we were just blasted.
Yeah, the market should start be heating up.
You would get deals left and right? We're getting people that are saying, yeah, I want to be pre-approved, but then the contracts are just not there.
They're just getting outbidded.
They're getting outbidded.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing with getting an offer accepted, which we're fortunate to get, I'm fortunate to have buyers closing this month and last month, in competitive situations. And I'm not saying I'm the end all be all or the best at this, right? But
give us the secret. How about that?
How do
you win that bid?
I can't tell the competitor's a secret. I'm just kidding. I think
give us a little action.
The biggest thing is communication.
Communication.
Okay. I think that a good buyer's agent will communicate effectively with a listing agent. And it's not just about, hey, you have any offers? It's about building good rapport, trying to build a connection somehow so that they give you a little nugget here or there.
Yeah, I want to give you, I have a text from a realtor that she had said that, this guy lost out on 6 offers, putting 35% down. All offers came in cash. Even was going up to 40% down, no contingency, waive appraisal, waive inspection. This is getting crazy. We are getting back to. We're getting back.
But if you're
to
losing
stuff,
the cash,
you can't win.
It's tough.
You're not going to win.
And why is cash so good?
Well, I hate cash, right? I don't like cash.
But what's the attractiveness of cash?
Well, cash, you close fast, right? There's no contingencies. You just close. I mean, there's no. You buy it as is. There's no. You'll never. Nothing.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
You just you don't come to closing with a briefcase, but you have cash and you wire the money to the title company and they'll see in a week or two and you're done.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about the mortgage.
You don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Your job falls through. You still move forward with the deal.
I get it. I just, we got a lot of strong people that can't get under contract.
Yeah.
Even at that magnitude.
Right. Yeah. It's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, my listings, the 2 last ones I had, they both had 8 offers average on them, and they both sold cash. Yeah.
Right. So you're trying to get a mortgage right now. It's tough.
Yeah.
Right. You got to find a house that's been on the market. Okay?
That's a good strategy. Absolutely.
Right. Uh-huh. You got to find a house that's been on the market for a week or 2 or 3 weeks, wherever it may be, where there's not 19 bids on it, and you have a shot for them to actually accept the offer with a mortgage.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And those are houses that are out there.
There's tons.
Are they just not priced right? Is that why they're sitting so long, or what's the story?
That's always it. Right.
Right.
It's always the price.
Right.
Price, location, condition.
Well, I think that's where the realtor has to come in and speak to them and say, listen, we should bring down the price, or is it that tough?
Is as simple as you make it sound.
Right. It's tough.
It's tough.
Okay.
It is tough because, people want a certain
I feel like calling the seller and say, listen, just drop the price, man.
Right.
All right. Drop the price, 25 grand. We need to get a deal here.
But, sometimes
come on.
there's situations where maybe they need a certain amount of money to even sell the house. Maybe they got a big balance they need to pay off
On the mortgage.
on the mortgage. They can't even move to the next place unless they get a certain number. So it just might not be realistic.
Right.
You know?
Right. Which is tough. And I think you got to keep going. A lot of buyers that we've had have gotten frustrated and dropped out of the market.
Right.
Because they just can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Everything that they liked is gone, they feel. But I always say there's listings coming. There's more coming.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting into the busy months. We should be.
Right. April, May, June.
Yeah. So we should see some influx of listings. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to hold you to that. We're going to play this back.
Yeah. Right.
Right. All right. So red flags out there with realtors for buyers that are choosing a realtor. You said that you ran into two situations where both realtors that you used personally were no good.
Yeah.
So what's a red flag for a buyer who's coming into the market? That is a red flag sign that they should look out for.
Yeah. I would say a red flag would be, look, I get it. We all have friends in the business, right? We all have people who maybe just got their license and we want to do a favor for them by letting them represent us and be the first deal. But that might not be the best decision for you because you might want to be with someone who has the experience, who is currently winning and who knows the market in and out so that you have the best shot. I mean, you're in a competitive market as a buyer. You should be working with the best and have the best representation. And writing the offer is just one piece of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think your value as a really good agent is when you're in contract and it comes time to negotiate a couple things here and there. So you want to have someone who is aggressive, who's a strong negotiator, and you want to go out and interview maybe 2 or 3 agents and hear what they're going to do for you and go with the one that you feel most confident in that's going to get the job done.
Right.
So a red flag would be just lack of experience. But we've all been there, right?
Well, I guess, in the defense of realtors that just got in, I guess you're saying I can't get experience unless I get a client.
Yeah.
Which they're, so if someone doesn't give me a shot and they always go with the most experienced guy, I'll never be able to get the experience that I need.
Right. So
does that make sense? Or
yeah, I mean, a way to get through that, if you're really feeling that way, is to just build your confidence, right? People want to work with the most confident person. Right. So how do you become more confident if you don't have experience? You work around people who have that experience. You work every day on skill building and you just get more knowledge than most people out there so that when you're sitting with someone, you're just confident and they can feel that and they want to do business with you.
What like you got your agents doing all these massive cold calling all day, every day? I mean, that is
No, not.
I mean, that's all I hear now, man.
Yeah.
Call thousands of people a day. And do this and then expireds and listings and all that stuff. I don't do that because I'm in the mortgage side. So they have us wanting to cold call, old leads and, people that were pre-approved 6 months ago or somebody who's just thinking of buying or just cold call people in your neighborhood just because you should.
Yeah.
What do you think of all that?
I think it's great.
Do you do that?
So when
do you tell your agents to do that too? Or you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I first started, I was doing circle prospecting, which is I would just pick a listing and then I call around to neighbors around the listing and just try to drum up business, right? It was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
I mean, you're just making a cold call.
Yeah. And I was new, but I would just throw myself in the mix.
And how much success did you get off of that?
I had some success. I built some clients that I still work with over the last 4 years, 5 years.
So it works.
It works. Yeah. And I still do it. Right. So I'll close probably maybe 4 to 6 deals just from cold calls. And that's a good clip of business.
I'm hearing a lot of that.
Yeah.
From younger guys like you that they're doing the cold calls.
Yeah.
Even though they hate it probably.
Yeah.
They do it anyway. They get more comfortable every day doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's just like a whatever.
Yeah.
You
so
say no to me, whatever.
There's leads out there, right? So for sale by owners, I call them. I'm working with one right now. We have him under contract. He was listed, 15, 20,000 lower than what we got him under contract for. So maybe that offsets our fee there. But it's so funny how he's changed his tune from our initial conversation to now being in contract and him calling me and saying, hey, Connery, what should we do now? What should we do now? He's leaning on me for everything.
Right, which is
before
great.
He was out there on his own.
Right, for sale by owner.
Yeah.
Which they think they know everything and
Yeah.
they could do it on their own. They go on Google and they're like, I could sell my own house. And
Right.
yeah, I don't need this guy. Yeah, I don't need anybody.
So we do prospecting from 9 to 11, right? And then we do quarterly prospecting challenges. So I kick off a challenge tomorrow where we'll go the whole month of April. We've got 18 people signed up for it, and we'll all meet in a virtual room from 9 to 11, headsets on. We're on mute, but we can see each other, and we'll just be making calls.
Calling people.
And it's a system.
What's the script?
What's the script?
Yeah.
Hey, Alex, this is Connery. I'll give you the script.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I like it.
Hey, Alex, this is Connery from Century 21. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, Alex, listen, I don't know if
Connery, I'm going to cut you off right there. All right. I'm not.
Hey, you get that a lot.
I'm sure you
get that
do.
a lot.
I'm sure. I'm not buying anything right now. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm eating.
Hey, Alex, I wish I had something to sell you, but I really don't.
Really? So why are you calling me then?
I'm just calling to let you know about your neighbor's property, 123 Main Street, 456 Minor Street. That's a better address. Did you see that one?
No. What's going on over there?
We just put that on the market. It's listed at $450,000. And just kind of curious, you know anyone who's looking to move into the area?
Okay, so you're just asking for them to give you a referral, basically.
That's an easy call, right?
You're not going into saying, do you want to sell your house?
No.
No.
But if the conversation leads to that,
then sure.
it's great. Well, I'm kind of curious what my house is worth. Like, you will come across people like that, right? Like, I remember last year I met this lady. I called around my listing. She's in there doing like a workout, listening to the TV. And she had met with an agent and she wanted to meet with me because maybe she was thinking about selling. So I went down, met with her. We put her house on the market within a month, right? So there is business out there. It does work. You
just got to keep pounding.
And you're going to get no, not interested. Go fuck yourself. That's going to happen
constantly.
A lot.
Right. You just got to have thick skin.
Yeah. It's like you just laugh it off and boom, on to the next.
I guess you're embarrassed the first few days you're doing it because you sound weird.
Yeah.
And then you just, after a while, you're just like, this is easy.
Here's the thing. Like, every feeling you have, it's self-inflicted. You feel embarrassed. Why? Because you're letting yourself feel that way.
Right. Really, they don't care how you sound.
Yeah.
Because they don't know you anyway.
Exactly.
So it's not like they know you're being weird because they don't know you anyway.
Right. You've got nothing to lose.
That's how you got to go into it.
Yeah.
And that's how you got to go into every day. You have nothing to lose. You go all in.
Yeah.
I think one of the harder parts, even for me right now, with being in the business for so long, is trying to motivate the older guys in this business to get hungry again.
Right.
On what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
That's tough. And I'm sure you deal with a lot of the older agents where you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, totally.
Right. And I feel that way a lot sometimes. Like, we're so set in our ways that how can a young guy like you come in and turn a 20-year veteran into the business, into going back to cold calling and doing the basics, which a lot of them don't want to do.
It's harder to take away bad habits than it is to teach good new habits.
Right. You'd rather the fresh people coming out.
It's easier to work with that.
A lot of prima donnas.
Yeah. And you know what? The office is getting younger, it seems like. Like, on average, the age in there.
What is the average age you have in the office of agents?
I would probably say under 40.
I got to go. I got to go. I got to get out.
Yeah.
All right. Under 40. Listen, that's great.
Yeah. But we've got some guys that have been there forever. We've got this one guy, you probably know. He's like a HUD king. He's been around forever. And he's in his 80s, I think. And he's still.
All right. So then I don't have to go.
Yeah.
Because I'm not in my 80s. I feel good there then.
I feel like real estate is like one of those like industries where you can just never retire.
You can never retire, right? I mean, I deal with agents that are, in their early 70s,
Yeah.
late 60s, right? And they
It's really
still
cool.
are doing business.
Right.
They're still doing good. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not crushing it, but they're making a living.
Yeah.
You know, they have a book of business, right? They have past clients that come back to them. They get referred to the sisters or brothers, and now they're kids that are buying houses and
Right.
stuff like that. So it is pretty cool to see that
Yeah.
that you can make a career out of it. You got to be smart though with your money. I think the problem is a lot of these people are agents. They make a lot of money. Like the pandemic, we all made a lot of money, and then they all spent their money now.
Right.
And now they're kind of like chasing that dream of that money, and that's just not going to happen in this market. Unless you really kill yourself.
You got to be grinding.
You got to be grinding.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day. Yeah. Every day for me is like, it's like.
Do you wake up on Saturday morning and say, I got to work today?
So yesterday, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I met with a client yesterday. They're from out of town, only here for the weekend. I showed them 5 neighborhoods in Philly. They wanted me to pick out some good ones with some high energy and stuff going on. So I picked out some of my favorites, and I showed them around Philly.
Right.
They had a great time, and then we'll connect tomorrow and we'll see if we can lock something up.
So you got to work the weekend, right? You got to be all in. I always preach that, it's not a 9-to-5 job.
Well, you do. I go against that sometimes. You have to treat it like a 9-to-5.
If you can, I guess. Yeah. Right.
You really got to be structured in your day to day. You got to come in, you got to have a system set up, and you just do the same things over and over again. Right. And that's what's going to really move the needle and get you ahead. So you kind of got to treat it like you're punching in and punching out, because, it's like a double-edged sword, this business, right? You get all that flexibility, and that could really kill you because you can get lazy easy.
Sure.
I don't have to do this right now because I'm my own boss, So you need to really focus in on setting a schedule and sticking to it.
I think a lot of the agents and loan officers like this job because they can work from home and they can stay in their living rooms and bedrooms and hang out, right? And they feel like that they're, they're entrepreneurs. Okay, I can do what I want.
Right.
Problem is if you're not making any money, and you're not showing a consistency of doing anything after 3 or 4 months, there's a problem. You got to get out of your house.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You got to get out of your bedroom.
I go to the office every day.
Do you? Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
And you don't see much of that.
I'm there.
How many agents come in the office?
On average, 4 to 6.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Out
right
of 25 or whatever.
Yeah. So, I'm there at 7:30 every day.
In the morning?
In the morning.
And what time do you leave?
I try to get out of there by 5. Sometimes
you're there
later.
all day.
All day. Yeah. Sometimes I'll stay a little later, depending on how many putts I want to hit out in the hallway.
Right. Which I'm sure you guys can hit them all day if you
headset on and just drilling putts. No,
and so the 4 to 6 agents, well, I'm sure God only knows what goes on in the office half the time, but you got to have fun too.
Yeah.
You got to have fun. You can't just crank and work all day. And like, I used to go in the office a lot before the pandemic, and we had a lot of fun with the loan officers in there, and you would bounce ideas off of each other.
That's the thing, like collaboration.
That's
right?
what I mean. What are you doing? What's working? Do you want to team up on something together? Whatever it may
love
be.
that.
I like that too.
I love when the agent comes into my office and they're like, "Hey, I'm working on this. I'm kind of at a roadblock. What do you think I should do?"
Right.
I just love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to have loan officers that come up to me and say, let's team up and do something together and attack this neighborhood or do this or hit this real estate team and see if we can work with them together because they have 10 agents and I can't service all of them together.
Yeah.
Collaborate.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, good. So we're going, what do you think is going to happen the rest of the year here? You're on the front line, what do you think, where's the success going to be in newer agents that are getting in and where do you think this business is heading, for where we're at? Like, I know they're saying a big weed out, right? Another
I could see that.
Exodus of 100,000 agents are going to get out and 50,000 loan officers. That's all I hear.
Yeah.
Exodus. Is it really going to happen?
Yeah. That's an interesting question.
I mean, that's all I hear.
Yeah.
That we're not going to have any competition left out by the end of the year because everybody's going to be out.
Well, I could see like the transactions per agent getting less and less, and the top 10 to 20%
are doing all the business.
And I could see it like getting even more skewed, right? And taking away from the newer agents even more, for whatever reason that is, right? I'm no economist. I'm just a dumb real estate guy.
Sure.
So
I'm with you,
where
dude.
this is going,
I
don't know. I just strap on and I go
just
with
do your
it.
job.
Yeah, exactly. I just stick to what I know, which is talking to as many people about real estate as possible. And I know if I continue to just try to help people and come from that place, I'll always be okay.
What about lenders? You guys are getting hit with lenders, I'm sure.
Oh
Left
my
and-
gosh.
Right.
Jeez. It's like
Is it
the cold
nonstop?
emails, the texts, the calls,
Constant.
constant.
I think that's
crazy.
a sign of desperation in this
Yeah.
market. I mean, they're right, because there's not enough business to go around.
Yeah.
And that purge is going on there too.
Right.
Where these loan officers are
But,
finally saying, you know what, I got to get out.
It's good for you because you've been in the business for so long. So you've probably built a good
I have a
repeat and
core
referral.
Right.
Right.
I do.
It's good.
Which is, you're right, is saving me.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that. Like if I was a new loan officer starting out right now, I give kudos to them because it is not easy.
Say you were leaning on Zillow to produce all your leads.
I don't see it. I don't see it. And I have agents that are approaching me saying, let's do Zillow and realtor.com together. But I'm not talking about small. I'm talking about big money. Like crazy numbers.
Right.
3,000-4,000 a month.
A month. That's a big investment.
What do you think of that? Like you come to me and you ask me, Alex, I like you. You've been in the business a long time. Obviously you've closed deals or you wouldn't be here 20 years later. So what will you do $5,000 a month with me? 5,000 from you, 5,000 from me. That's a huge investment.
That's a huge investment. And there's, I think the agent might be in a better position there versus a lender. Like I've seen some shit go down, man.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen some lenders get really fucked. Just
because they did the co-marketing and what? They got nothing out of it?
No, just like in terms of deals, like I've seen deals get all the way up to like within 10 days of settlement. And then the buyer come in with this phantom lender that no one knew about.
Right.
And go to
they were
swap
working
them out.
They were working two at the same time.
And the lender just got completely screwed, but the agent is okay.
Right. And it was off of a Zillow lead or something.
Yeah.
Like that. So they paid for that, basically.
Right. So it's like
that's bad, man.
Yeah.
That hurts.
At the end of the day, like it's really about relationships and the agents and the lenders that can build those relationships early on. They're going to solidify the business throughout, right? But there's times where the lender maybe drops the ball there, and the buyer is just thinking, okay, well, look, this lender's not going to be with me after this transaction, so what do I care about them? I just want to get the best deal possible,
right?
So they'll go and shop that lender,
and they'll get something
get someone lower.
Oh yeah,
it's so cutthroat.
It is bad
with the lender side.
I deal with it every day.
Yeah,
I know.
Like as an agent, once you're in contract, like it's locked up. With a lender, it's not locked up.
But if you're an agent, and this is I ask a lot of people this on the show every week, that on the agents that I have on, why would you want to pay $5,000 a month in Zillow and me $5,000 a month, and we're really not getting anything? Like it's
a numbers game.
So you made a long-term investment then at that point in your mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you're really just looking for ROI.
Right. But if you're not seeing the ROI after 3 or 4 months, why would you want to continue? I guess is the big question then. Loan officers like us ask the agent, and the agent's saying, I don't want to get rid of it. I like it.
Well, if you're not getting anywhere with it, it doesn't make sense to continue forward, but it could take longer, right? Like it's rare that an investment is going to pay off in the first year, maybe even the second year. Like we have MSAs, right? And like
MSAs are tough too.
You're not coming in the door and you're just taking everyone's business year one. No. You got to wait year 2, year 3.
Does the loan officer or the lender beat you up to say the MSA is not working because I'm not getting a good cut of business out of the office?
I'm not sure. I'm not privy to those conversations.
You want no parts of that.
Yeah.
I hear you, man.
Yeah.
Because believe me, I'm in on those meetings.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And they're tough. Because the lender doesn't
like you're trying to justify.
Well, sure. I got a guy sitting in the office all day and he's only closing 2 deals a month out of 40 agents in the office.
Right.
But we see the reports and your agents are doing a lot of business. How come my guy's only getting 2 deals a month?
Exactly.
I mean, this is the stuff that happens.
I know.
As you know.
Absolutely. Yep.
And you're right. You can't control those agents to use that guy in the office.
Like my job is to promote the in-house guy as much as possible.
Sure.
Right. And it's And it's really just saying, hey, why don't you give Alex a shot?
Right.
Give Alex a shot on that. And that's really as far as I can go with it.
Right. You
I can't
tell
twist your
them
arm
to
and
do
say,
it.
you have to use Alex, you know?
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Unless Alex winds up doing a really good job.
Right.
And then it gets through the office that Alex is good.
Yeah. It's up to
Alex.
I think it's up to the LO to come
Yeah.
in and build those relationships individually with the agents.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I've been in an in-house situation before in Remax, in Jersey. And, it worked out for a while, but, the conversion rates were tough. I always say the in-house guys kind of doesn't pay
Right.
because you're not guaranteed anything and you're paying a big nut to be in there.
Right.
Versus if you're just an outside loan officer who's doing a good job with a few of the agents in the office, it gets around anyway.
Yeah.
And you wind up getting business.
Right.
Anyway, why pay the nut of whatever it is?
Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I'm sure you're getting killed. And I just wanted to ask you that question because I know you guys are seeing a lot of that.
Yeah.
All right, man. So I think we touched on a lot. You're a force of nature here on social media.
Okay.
You post. Is it religiously that you're saying to yourself, I got to post every day? I got to get something out there every day. Like, what are you saying? Or is that what you're telling your agents? Because with me and the guys on my team, I do say we got to do more posting and do more stuff to stay relevant and stay in people's faces. But sometimes we forget.
Yeah. I think you have to be where people are.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone today, they're on their phones, right? You see it driving, you see it,
I see it driving too much.
It's funny. Yesterday,
people they're not even paying attention anymore to the road.
I know.
All you see is
it's
this.
bad.
It is bad.
Very dangerous.
Yes.
So,
dude, I'm like all over the place. And I got my daughter in the car and I'm like, what is going on? This guy's like this.
And he
hasn't even looked at the road once.
I can be, an offender of that too, right? I can
think
pick
we
up
all
my
are.
phone and text while I drive, and
especially in real estate.
Do that, yeah, yeah, exactly. So yesterday I'm on the treadmill and I'm running, I'm looking down like
you're gonna break your neck,
right? I'm looking down at everyone and I'm just observing while I'm running because I'm on the treadmill for 40 minutes. I got nothing else to do, and I can see like people are just there sitting on their phones on the equipment. So that really just shows you how important it is to be where everyone is, which is on their phone. So yeah, I'm trying to do social media. I try to do a post, maybe 3 to 5 posts a week if possible. I try to stay up to date with my stories at the bare minimum, at least 1 post per day on the story. Every Saturday, I sit down, I write out a journal entry on Facebook. I don't think we're Facebook friends, but if we were, you'd see that.
I got to check that out
too.
Yeah.
So I do a long kind of a journal entry where I'm a little vulnerable and just, speaking from my mind a little bit.
How much does that work?
I think that is more important because it shows the human side of you, right? We're not just business, right? You've got to show people something else. It can't be buy with me, sell with me. Right. I'm the best.
Which I see a lot of that cheesy marketing.
I can't stand it.
You could tell that it's not even real marketing.
Not real,
yeah.
Right? So people want the authentic you, and that comes from being personal, right? So I try to focus on that.
Personable marketing.
Yeah,
right.
People know my daughter. They see me with her, stuff like that.
Yeah, they know that you're and they know you're doing your own marketing. I said this on the last show that people can tell if the computer's doing your marketing for you or you're actually doing the marketing.
Yeah, I do it all.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you right away AI wrote that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
know that they produced the video and it's fake.
Yeah, so I have I was mentioning I invested into a editor who's overseas. I found him on Upwork and it could get him in trouble, but so I was using him on Upwork and then he hit me up one day in my DMs and he was like, "Hey, screw this Upwork. They're hitting me on fees. They're hitting you on fees. Let's just go direct." So we had a conference call. We worked it out. So now I just pay him to do. So
it's like a virtual assistant.
Yeah, it's a VA.
Right.
Exactly. And he does a pretty good job.
You pay him by the hour, I guess, right? Is that how that works usually? Or
I pay him per week.
Per week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. $75 a week.
And
unlimited
it's
videos.
Worth it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't have time to do those edits.
Right. That's why I got George. George does all my editing for me. Thank God. Or it would be a mess. You'd see some really bad video.
But I still edit some of my own too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like some of the ones that are just text only. captions. I just plug it into CapCut and then I run with it. I got a template all set up. I'm a template guy.
You stay organized.
Yeah, I'm pretty organized. Like I could pull up a file on my phone like really quick just because I know how to index it.
Yeah, see, these young guys, they kill me, man. I can't do this stuff.
It's all about efficiency. Like if you think about it, time is like the most important resource. How do you get that back?
Yeah, we were making a joke yesterday. These people call me from 5 years ago and say, Alex, it's me. I want to refi. Hey, man, what's going on? I'm like, who are you?
That's great.
That's terrible.
That's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem, but it's a terrible problem when you don't remember anything. You're like, what? Or Anthony on my team will say, yeah, this guy reached out. He said he wants to refi. You did him 3 years ago. He went, what? What's his name? Oh, that's bad. That is wrong.
Bad. That's wrong. Yeah.
All right. I am sorry. If you're listening right now, I am sorry. All right. And I want to do your refi. All right. I swear to God. And I remember you.
It's funny. I met with someone. It's like similar to that. I met with someone 3 years ago. They called me out of the blue from Google, went over to their house, met her and her husband, talked about potentially listing the house, wound up they wanted to stay. She called me like 2 months ago and was like, hey, it's so-and-so. I was like, oh, great. She's like, yeah, I want to invite you to this place. I was like, all right. So she works at a leasing office, wanted me to go to the grand opening. And I was like, all right, well, I'm actually doing an event tonight. Why don't you come? And I forgot what she looked like.
Right, who it is.
So the whole time in my head, I'm thinking she's going to show up and I'm going to have no idea.
You're going to even know she's there.
Yeah. So I was, she didn't show up. Thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah. But I was thinking that. So I'm in a similar position sometimes.
I got one last week. The realtor called me and said, hey, Alex, I have a pre-approval letter with your name on it here. The guy says, Alex from Moving. It had to be you. And I said, what's the guy's name? And Michael something. And I said, really? And he said, well, you're Alex from Movement, right? Like you gave him the letter. I said, yeah. I said, well, then I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know, I'm putting the call on mute. I'm like, who the hell? I'm shuffling through everything. Approvals, looking for my computer. I found his name. Thank God. I came back. I said, yes.
Yeah.
I got him.
So
you got to stay focused.
So you're with Movement.
I'm with Movement. I was with Green Tree for 10 years.
Green Tree. Okay.
I left Green Tree in December because they had merged with another company. So I switched over to Movement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's the owner of Movement?
A guy named Casey Crawford. He's in North Carolina. I'm working a branch here though in South Philly, not far from the Advantage Gold office on Oregon Ave.
20th and Oregon. Yeah.
Right. We're in the Chickies and Pete's parking lot.
Okay.
In a branch in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
I think I've come across Movement and I've really appreciated some of the tools. And
they got a lot of tools
and
a lot of the products and the technology is ridiculous.
The technology, that's what was really
and
appealing
that's why
to me.
It appealed to me too.
Yeah.
You know, because I felt like I was in a situation where I was stagnant and I needed to open up some doors with the technology and the products because, you know, nowadays people, you know, they're to another level. Yeah. And I was still writing people's names down on a piece of paper. And it's like, dude, this can't happen anymore. Right. It's terrible. Yeah. Right. You're writing somebody's social security number down on toilet paper. And you got
exactly.
You got to actually type it in and it's really easy. They just go to a website and they plug it in and it's secured.
That's awesome.
So, well, listen, man, thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely.
it. This guy was awesome.
Yeah. And it's I just wanted to touch on this real quick.
Yeah,
so
please.
We connected in 2017, which is pretty bizarre because I wasn't even licensed until 2020. So, you know, I've always seen your stuff and followed you and you know, you've been along with me for my entire journey, which is cool.
Yeah.
So it's awesome to finally get a chance to sit down and meet you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Listen, I'm telling you, your videos caught my eye.
Cool.
I said, this guy has good marketing.
Appreciate that.
This is what you don't see. And then the gun story, forget it. You know, that just put me over the top then. I said, this guy's got to come on. I just got to find a weekend for him to come on and hopefully he'll accept. Because unfortunately, a lot of realtors don't accept to come on. I don't know if they don't like being, like you said, this is your first time doing this. So I don't think a lot of them like being, it's not anything personal against me. I just don't think they're into this type of thing, which I understand. But I think nowadays people, don't look at it that way. Like they want to see this type of marketing, or they want to see the real true person of what's going on,
right?
And the front line.
Exactly.
So I appreciate you accepting to come on.
Yeah, we'll do it again sometime.
I would love it.
Cool.
You come back, we'll bring you back in about a year and see what's going on.
All right.
The office will probably be 100 agents by then, right?
Sure hope so.
Right. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you again.